Hi everyone. So today we are going to cover up a topic on Gayatri Chakraborty Spivak, and she is one of the most influential figures when we talk about the post-colonial literature. Now, a basic bio you can go through this. She was born in Calcutta, done PhD, and all these other things. But from the Nate perspective, the most important thing lies on her works. And one of the most famous works she had ever composed with her original idea was the Can Subaltern Speak? Now, what is this Can Subaltern Speak? And first of all, what is the idea of subaltern? Now, what if I tell you that the history that we know of is written from the perspective of the affluent class, the rich class, the powerful people, the zamindars, the financially well off people? Whereas there were so many freedom fighters that we may have never heard of, and just because they were not rich, just because they were not powerful, just because they were not associated with any noble family or a powerful family, and therefore their history is somewhat unknown to us. Now, that is the those people who are unable to, be the source of limelight or be associated with any particular noble family or some, high class society people are called as the subalterns. As simple as that. Okay. Now, this is the subaltern. Whereas if you see what are the other work, for example, the other work involves translation on essays of Maheshwata Devi. So there were many works by Maheshwata Devi whose works were translated into English by Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak. Now we know what is the meaning of subaltern. So here is one concept given to her by subaltern women. Now, subaltern, as I said, are the people who are not belonging to any noble or rich or proper high class. They are basically the marginalized or the oppressed group of people. Now, that is one layer. The another layer is subaltern women. So we all know that even in a progressive society, women are considered as a second gender. Now, what happens if in an oppressed society the women's are to be considered? They are having a life even worse than the being a second gender in a progressive society. So her concept of subaltern women. Now the another concept given by her was the epistemic violence, and it is not only by her but actually a work which was done on various other theories by Foucault and Deleuze. Now epistemic violence actually talks about that how the Western knowledge silences the others. Now, for example, we keep on hearing that our Ved and our Purans have actually a lot of science into it, and it actually talks about pramanu anu. So it has anu, pramanu, which were later on given as atoms, and the concept of atoms and molecules, the fundamental concept of physics and chemistry. Now, when the Britishers came, they actually silenced this thing. They dominated our culture, our literature with their own. And this is called as epistemic violence when the Western science or Western literature actually started dominating the Indian literature or the literature that we know of or the Indian literature. So this is epistemic violence. Next is the strategic essentialism. Here it is, you can say that a temporary conscious use of essentialist identity by marginalized groups of political mobilization. So this is what you can know of from the strategic essentialism, and these are some of the concepts by Gayatri Chakraborty Spivak, the most famous being subaltern, epistemic violence, subaltern women, strategic essentialism. Okay. Now, there are certain other authors and intellectual thinkers who are actually associated with the similar ideology, so which we are going to see in this video. In We have some other major thinkers like Edward Said, Homi K. Bhabha, Frantz Fanon, Achille Mbembe, who gave some of the post-colonial theories and ideas. For example, Edward Said's most famous is Orientalism, critical analysis of Western representation of the East. So, how the Western people or Western literature actually represented India or the East, India and all the other Eastern countries. So, if you read their literature, which were famously called as the Victorian literature as well as the colonial literature, there you will find many authors are describing India as a land of snake charmers, and some authors describing India as a very wealthy and progressive society. So how it was defined, it is various way of defining India by the Western authors that shaped the ideology and mindsets of the people of the West. Next is the Homike Bhabha's very famous hybridity and mimicry, the state of cultural mixing and the creation of third space. So hybridity is actually the place where Indians and the Western people had started to mix, and they were actually creating a third space, which is a mixture of both. Mimicry, what is the mimicry part? Mimicry is that when the Indians who somehow in the times to come started regarding themselves as the inferior class, started doing a mimicry of the Western cultural people or Western people and considering them as cultural people. So this mimicry is also an idea given by Homike Bhabha. Frantz Fanon has given colonial psychology and national liberation. Achille Mbembe has given the idea of necropolitics. Okay, so the power to decide who matters, who does not. So necropolitics is based on that who actually matters and who does not. For example, you can see that let's say Instagram or let's say Facebook or let's say YouTube. Now, in all this thing, you'll see that there are many hundreds of creators who are trying to, tell the world that they are also a creator. But YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, they have their own set of algorithms which is like they are deciding that who are to be made popular and who are not to be made popular. So that algorithm can be called as necropolitics. That an algorithm is deciding who gets to say something and who does not get to say something. So these are the some of the ideas. Some other key subaltern thinkers you can remember is Ranajit Guha, Dipesh Chakraborty, Partho Chatterjee. They all had the subaltern theory. They believed in subaltern theories, and that's what you need to know from the perspective of the subaltern theory. So with this, the entire concept of subaltern theory has been covered. Some other things from where the idea actually sources is history, you can say, is Antonius Gramsci's prison notebooks. And all these things. So, subaltern study group, you can who formed the subaltern study group can be a question. So it's Ranajit Guha. So if you can do this much, you can listen to this video in 2x or 1.5x. Trust me, within 4 to 5 minutes you are done with the entire concept of subalternism and subaltern post-colonialism, and who are the major thinkers, authors, and the person who gave idea. So please subscribe this channel, like this channel. We will be posting more such videos until your NET exam, and that you are thoroughly prepared with most important concepts.